You see, over the last 72 hours, the safety net for our national security was cut. Today, the system that is supposed to keep and identify and isolate threats is, for lack of a better term, on standby. This is the Urban Sentinel. Let's get into it. Today is February 18th, 2026, and we're going to take a look at the effect of three key issues: a DHS shutdown, a nuclear power deal that's deadlocked in Geneva, and a domestic security gap that hasn't been left this wide open for years. So stick around, because afterwards I have a few tips to help you get prepared with an easy 72-hour survival audit. First up on the list, the ghost town shutdown of DC. Now, the reality is it's not a total shutdown of all government services. It's more of a box-out maneuver of DHS. To put it simply, there's about 260,000 agents from TSA, Customs, and Border Patrol, the U.S. Coast Guard. They're all working without pay. And side note, nobody enjoys working without pay. It makes people cranky, so just keep that in mind in case you come across any of them. One of the other agencies to feel the squeeze is CISA, which is the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency. They are the nation's IT department. They come out and they handle the digital threats from the internet. They take care of all of the federal agencies, keep them up to speed with their protocols, and over half of their staff is now furloughed. So the digital nervous system that is currently going on is unmonitored for proactive threats. And that means that the number of agents that they have working on security protocols, engaging in probe attacks and stopping viruses from shutting down departments or entire systems, is down to close to about 30% manpower. A key takeaway from this is that with CISA, it not only works with the federal governments, as I said before, but they also partner and cooperate with private industries to basically get ahead of potential issues that may occur. They track threats from phishing and malware software to denial of service attacks on infrastructure and commerce and things of that sort. So these players have been taken off the field, and the consequences right now of working with a skeleton crew is you're not going to feel it today, but you will feel it when your bank doesn't let you log in or the system shut down, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. It all depends. Next on the issue, the Iranian agenda. Now, as of February 17th, the U.S. and Iran agreed to guiding principles in Geneva, which currently entail the suspension of uranium enrichment for at least 3 to maybe 5 years, and also inspections of facilities to be done as well. Now, mind you, this is an agreement on the principles of the treaty. It's not an actual signed treaty. Nothing's actually been formalized. They've just agreed that these are the things that should be in it. Now, in separate statements, of course, the U.S. officials feel that a deal is close, and the Iranian officials believe that there's still more to discuss. Meanwhile, Iran had also conducted military drills in the Strait of Hormuz, and they temporarily shut it down during those drills. And of course, the U.S. is also sending another aircraft carrier group into the region to effectively help sway Iran into accepting the deal as it is. Now, how does all of this link together? The hostile groups that are out there, whether they're state-sponsored or there's some rogue outliers working on their own, they don't need any type of blow the doors off the hinges hot war to do what they need to do. They just need a window left open, just enough to sneak in. And currently, with our domestic cyber dogs on a short chain in the backyard, they have easy access to the house at this point. So probing attacks on the U.S. infrastructure, communications, or financial systems, those are going to offer the highest return on investment for any type of attack in comparison to truck bombs or anything else on a kinetic level. So they are smart enough to know that if you do several sharp, hard kicks to the shins, you can take down the biggest opponent in the arena with no questions asked. And that's exactly what cyber attacks will end up doing. They're quick, fast, sharp kicks that destabilize you and then put you off balance, and the next you know, you're face down on the ground. Now, this brings us to the third segment, a little more closer to home at this point. There will be domestic side effects to all of this. Now, It's not about some panic run and empty shelves going on. It's about the administrative slowdown, the process of the paperwork as it is. Because TSA and air traffic controllers, they're working unpaid. Some of them will be forced to do extra shifts for coverage, and that can cause fatigue. And that fatigue can equal to flight delays, both for boarding as well as for travel. And with a large portion of customs administrative support gone, the inspections of goods coming off of aircraft, coming off of ships being offloaded, that's going to create a backlog with that cargo. The tariffs that we've seen so far are a mild inconvenience compared to once that's compounded with the hundreds to thousands of crates, bags, and containers that have to be inspected before they're able to be offloaded and put onto the trucks and trains and get to where they need to go. And that becomes especially dicey for critical materials, whether it's medicine or specific parts for any type of high-end electronics or anything like that, where you have to wait for it to move on to the next process. Now, the consequences overall with this sort of trade transit free that's going on is it will interrupt the supply chain, and you're going to feel that first in your wallet long before the media ever starts talking about it in the headlines. Now, here are the 5 factors, and this is potentially for a cyber attack, a cyber barrage that can be an indicator for a black swan event that could arise from these small little glitches in the system. So the first one you want to sort of pay attention to, the VIX, VIX, the volatility index. It's also known as the fear index in the market, which is, it is what it is. It's what investors use to kind of do a 30-day look ahead, a little peek-see to kind of see where the market is headed based upon investor sentiment and the market risk itself. Now, when stock markets prices fall sharply, the fear index rises. So it's pretty much almost an inverse effect. Stock market goes down, fear index goes up. There's a rule of thumb that they have within the actual market. It's basically below 20, everything's cool, nothing to worry about. 20 to 30, your butt cheeks get a little sweaty. And then, of course, above 30, you may need clean underwear. Now, that's not an official NASDAQ, S&P 500 terminology, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. Second thing to look at, GPS and network connectivity issues. It seems simple enough. You lose signal, you have trouble connecting, your system on your phone is searching, your home Wi-Fi, whatever it is. But what you also have to start to look at is network provider reporting the power outages that seem to hop across different areas of their service from one part of the country to another part, this region to that region. And they seem to either shut down and then restart and then shut down and restart over and over again. Or when they say that they're doing maintenance updates, and then a few hours later they're doing another maintenance update, and then the next day they're doing another maintenance update. Those are all little clues that they're experiencing a spreading wide area of problems. And also, too, when you look into banking and the online retail and the data service centers and even your streaming networks, that's when you have an idea that it's not just a one-off isolated incident. It's something that is very pervasive within the entirety of the network. Now, the third thing you can look at is the United States Congress. They are officially on recess, and they're not set to return for a while. But if they return for an emergency session, or those U.S. reps contact their respective governors and ask them to implement the emergency protocols for Homeland Security with regards to things involving cybersecurity threats and the domino effect that they have after that, that also, too, can be an indicator that something is going on that we're not being immediately told or let aware of. Fourth thing that you can look at is ghost logistics. And a lot of times you'll see that when you're ordering stuff and you're tracking it online. But basically, your tracking number says pending. It might say it for a day, 2 days, 3 days, or suddenly that item has moved halfway across the country through multiple states effectively within minutes, far faster than what it could have in real time. And the chances are that, again, there was some type of intrusion in the system, and it may even be a case that your actual order never went beyond that point of sale online, and that all of that information that you're receiving is just phantom noise being put in by the system or by whatever's affecting the system. Now, the last one, it can kind of occur at any point in time. It's not necessarily the last one. It's one of those things that, depending upon where things are going, it'll pop up. But this one is data throttling. Now, we all know about that when, they decide to dial down your internet speed to basically get you to bump up to the next payment level. But when you start to notice data throttling, or you receive notifications about updating and changing your security passwords and your passcodes. And this will go across from your cell phone, your email service. It can be anything from Netflix and Amazon and any other online subscriptions that you have. When you start getting multiple requests from those different locations, from those different companies, that also can tell you that there's something within the system, within the matrix, that has gone sideways, and that now they're all trying to correct and head it off before it spreads farther than where it's gotten. Now, finally, nice and simple, it's a 72-hour audit that you can do. It's nothing dramatic, nothing intensive. It's just a simple, short thing of things that you should do, either preferably now or be ready to do very shortly. Now, the first one, have $200 to $300 in cash on hand. Now, if you can't swing that, which a lot of times most people can't, my general rule of thumb would be have enough to feed your family for 3 days. And it doesn't mean you're eating like, it's an all-you-can-eat buffet 3 meals a day, but enough to feed your family for 3 days and enough to get 100 miles in your car, however much gas that uses, be able to do that. You start with that, and then you move forward from there, make your adjustments as you need to. Next thing, fuel up. Make sure your car, if you have one, doesn't fall below a half tank. And if you can have extra gas cans on hand, someplace safe that you can store them, do that as well. Third thing, medical supplies, 30 days of meds, especially if they're prescription meds, which I know is a tough one because some medications are highly regulated and your doctors aren't going to write you out an extra script. But the primary concern is if the components of the medicine or the medicine as a whole is something that comes in overseas, it's going to be stuck at customs until it can get inspected. And you may be at a point where you and 200,000 other people are all trying to get the same medicine, and the stocks and supplies that are available here now run out. So it's one of those things where you may want to try to find a way to get ahead of that curve if it's something that's a critical need for you. Bottled water, plain and simple, 1 gallon per person for 3 days. The reason being is, again, if there's a denial of service attack, if there's an attack on the infrastructure, they can shut off water processing and treatment facilities. And that's happened, just even a few years ago, where the systems didn't shut off as in no water running, but the regulating control systems for the chemicals that are put in were altered. So too much of one chemical or not enough can be a bad situation for anybody who ends up drinking that water. So you want to be able to at least know that if there's a problem, you can turn your taps off and drink out of the bottled water, and you don't have to fight in a line at the convenience store to get some, because you'll have at least enough to get you going for 3 days. Now, from the next thing, communications. Pretty much plain and simple. An AM/FM radio runs on AC for house current, DC for batteries. Keep extra batteries on hand because, again, you're looking at a cyber attack that could cut off all communications. So effectively speaking, the good old-fashioned AM/FM radio is going to be there to give you the news and information, hopefully, that you'll need to figure out what's going on and, stay abreast of what's happening. Now, I know, I know, things change all the time. They can happen fast, and it's a matter of staying alert but not being amped up about it. You'll feel that shift when it happens. And it's just simply a matter of putting your plan into motion and one foot in front of the other, and you won't have anything to worry about. Well, that's all I got for you in this one. I'll catch you in the next one.